Good day. We are going to discuss various factors. These are considered by underwriters at the time of acceptance of risk. You must be knowing there are different types of journey hazards. There are different types of cargo, be it a dry bulk, be it a liquid bulk, or break bulk, or containerized, or over damming channel. There are various types of cargo coming by multi modes of transportation, and the risk associated is different. So the marine underwriter, basically he should know various aspects at the time of accepting the risk, and then of course he is deciding the premium. He is trying to rate the risk after considering how much risk is involved. So today's topic, or the chapter 3, it is totally devoted to underwriting aspects. Marine underwriter, it is a highest position in the department, because he is supposed to know everything about the assessment part of it. The assessment, the losses, you will get it considering various types of cargo, either in quantity or in quality. So behavior of each product in various modes of transportation, it is the foremost information the underwriter should have. Once he starts his life with the as a assessor or assessment in the port premises or CFS premises or the industry, he gets promotion as a loss adjuster. Loss adjuster, that means he is aware of the different type of documents required, the assessment part, and then adjusting as per terms and condition of policy. So foremost thing, he knows about different type of cargoes, methods of assessment, quantity assessment, reasons for quality deviations, everything he is aware of it about the industry. He becomes an adjuster. Now he is adjusting as per terms and condition of policies. So he is also aware that there are various terms and condition of policies prevailing at the time of, and then should be considered at the time of settlement of any claim. Having, getting expertise in these two fields, then he becomes a underwriter. So he can analyze the risk, he can rate the risk, he can find out if it is a crude oil, how much losses are expected, what are port conditions, why there are losses, how it is quantified, whether it is alert system or radar gauging, if it comes to liquid bulk, what is draft survey, what are the limitations of draft survey. Having known everything about the cargo, adjustment, policies, Marine Insurance Act, then he becomes a underwriter. So underwriting is important and highest position when it comes to a insurance marine cargo department. Basically, insurance starts with specific voyage policy, specific transit policy. Then there are many changes nowadays, from there is a open cover, open policy, sales turnover policy, stock throughput policy. There are various variations. But initially, you should have the process of underwriting starts with the proposal form. You are trying to give a lot of information on about the cargo on proposal form. It can be in particular format. There may be certain format prescribed by different insurance companies. They have different style of formats, etc. So they are trying to gather various information about the cargo, about the voyage, about the distance, and what is the destination. Lot of information they are trying to gather from proposal form. It could be letter, it could be verbal. Then it is expected that a lot of information underwriters already have about the port conditions of various places and the transparency index of the world, which is indicating, so they can restrict their policy to, say for example, particular port only, or they will extend into inland to the final warehouse of the consignee. So what proposal form is having in general? It is name and address of the proposal, consignor, details of transit of goods along with the sales, the terms of sale, whether it is FOB, because you are going to decide what type of policy you are going to give, whether it is C&F or it is CIF. Packaging and markings on the consignment. Packaging is very, very important because any inadequate packaging, or packaging is also deemed to stuff in container. So anything which is not done properly, there is a clear-cut exclusion, and underwriter is trying to understand what is the packaging of that particular commodity cargo. Dry bulk is without any packaging, liquid bulk is without any packaging, but dry bulk will have a different problems, liquid bulk will have a different problems. So considering the nature of cargo, underwriter should understand what risk it is associated with each commodity. Then what terms of cover is required? Is it only a basic risk of C, or it is B, or it is a comprehensive, you can say all risk ICC A? Everybody is going for ICC A only, irrespective of whether it is a liquid bulk or what a refrigerated cargo. There are different rate clauses, but everybody wants ICC A because bankers are insisting that we want all risk policy. That's all. They do not understand that there are different policies. They are better than ICCA. They will take care of this commodity, the risk, etc. But the bankers, they will say that no, we want ICCA, and that is the reason every person will pressurize insurance company to issue a policy A. Terms of cover which are required. There are a lot of things nowadays added as a conditions or warranties. Earlier it was all this policy very simple, but nowadays overloading is excluded. There should be job survey, there should be alleged survey, there should be warranty survey. So there are a lot of the mold growth, electrical dearrangement is not covered, mechanical dearrangement is not covered, the insects damage is not covered. So a lot of conditions are imposed. So this terms and condition what is required, and considering what conditions to be imposed either as a standard like sales turnover policy, all things are standard about packaging, everything. There is no much things to be left with the underwriter, but underwriter can definitely consider that if there is a chances of contamination, he will restrict the coverage to say institute cargo clauses B. So this is the terms of cover required and given. Which conveyance, whether it is multimode or only ocean or ocean and land, rail, all these things, because nowadays containers which are coming to, say for example, JNPT are going to Delhi ICD by Concorde, that is by rail. The containers are loaded on railway wagons and then they are going flat track wagons. So all these things are considered, and this is forming part of your the proposal form. The student should be aware that as per RBI regulations, a GI memorandum on export and imports premium can be collected in Indian rupees only if declaration is submitted to insurance company. Now basically you see that there is a Insurance Act 1938 which is telling that you have to collect premium in advance. So there cannot be deferred payment for premium. There cannot be credit limit given for premium. It has to be paid in advance. What is premium? 64 5B you have to collect in advance. So premium is consideration for return for the insurance who is accepting the risk for particular voyage. This is very simple, not much to say in that. The underwriting of cargo, it starts from the condition of that particular vessel. You see, earlier, if you look at the tariff advisory committee's guidelines, they were very fussy about the flag, about the age, about classification society, physical condition. They used to appoint surveyor whenever the export cargo is being loaded, cleanliness of the vessel's hold, the condition of vessel, the fitness of hatch covers, the water tightness of hatch covers. Nowadays, there are electronic gadgets available to do a leak testing, etc. So this is very, very important. With the IRDA introduction, the marine surveyor's role of a cargo loading unloading supervision has gone because the premium is reduced quite considerably. But then you try to understand there are various other means to find out what is physical condition and size of the vessel. Size of the vessel will be indicated from the gross tonnage and net tonnage and deadweight tonnage, etc. So depending on fitness and seaworthiness and crew competence, because you see basically crew competence, that means the director general has prescribed the crew qualifications and it is manned properly. Physically she is in good condition, so physically in all respect when she is in good condition we call it is a seaworthy vessel. So I am not supposed to send a seaworthy vessel in unseaworthy condition with privities of assured. Privities of the owner of the vessel. I am sorry, it is not assured owner of the vessel, because cargo interest may not be knowing much about the vessel, and that is the reason there are certain restrictions which he is supposed to take care of it. So size is considering, what type of it is, stability to ride into storms and cyclonic condition, etc. So these are very, very important. Then there are liner. There are two types, you can say, liner and tramp. Liner runs at an advertised schedule loads. That means they are going, say, for example, the route is fixed, prescribed. They will start, say, from Dubai, they will go to Karachi, they will come to Bombay, Goa, Cochin, back to Dubai. So the route is fixed, and it is the timing is also scheduled properly, and they also maintain the timing. These vessels are considered, they are better and well maintained condition. Whereas tramp vessels, tramp type, it is mostly bulk cargo, dry bulk cargo, liquid bulk cargo, and they are often seasonal in character. They will pick up coal from Australia, they will dump it to China, pick up coal from Africa, bring it to say for example India. So it is not a fixed route. Whenever the cargo is available, nowadays there is a new trend which underwriters should know, that earlier for the break bulk consignment like project cargo, the jumbo bags, etc., there was a twin decker ship. This twin decker ship has been dispensed, it has become very less nowadays because of introduction of containerization. This twin deck is having, it is avoiding superimposed load. But because these vessels are not there, people are preferring vessels which is bulk vessel. They are loading project cargo, and then there are huge losses because of that. So you should understand at the time of underwriting, you can put appropriate warranty and condition about the selection of vessels. The vessels under charter. This is also earlier, there was GIC vessels approval was there. There was a department, they were taking care of approval of vessel, which is now dispensed with. The GIC rules are changed. But then all insurance companies, they are member of the ICC IMB, and you can always get information about every charterer and every vessel, about his financial credits, etc., the financial capacity. It is very important, because whenever there is a general average, the financial capacity of each insurance company is also checked at the time of acceptance of bond and guarantee. So you have to be very careful when selecting a owner. Again, I said that singleton is not good. No problem with Shipping Corporation, Merck's, and American Pacific Line, Nippon Line. So he should be a known carrier. Similarly, charterer is also a quite reputed charterer. Then this is to be checked at the time of underwriting. Classification society, which is a very, very important part of the insurance, you can say marine insurance. The classification society, right from designing, right from fabrication, construction, installation, sea trials, they are involved to see that everything as per specifications, as per the norms laid down by classification society. Basically, they are inspection agencies. So classification, there is a classification clause which is incorporated in the policy, indicating that this vessel must have class, along with he is a member of International Association of Classification Societies, named as ICS. So this is very, very important. There are 13 classification society. They are member of ICS. There are many. There could be Sri Lankan class. There could be Bangladesh class. There could be Pakistan clause, but these classification societies are not recognized in the world. Even for the vessel, when there is a classification society, you will come across a dual class for the vessel. Why dual class? Because maybe one of the classification society is not internationally recognized, even if it is a member of ICS. And that is the reason they club it with the American Bureau, Lloyd's, Nippon, German, sort of like that. So this is very important. The next is the age of vessel. Of course, I have discussed about the liner and tramp. The age of vessel is also very, very important, because age of vessel, see, maximum it is prescribed. Earlier, there are certain acts, certain countries, they don't allow any vessel which is more than 15 years to enter their port. We do not have that strict regulation, although some notifications are there. But then the age of vessel is very important from the underwriter's point, and they should know that if it is a dry bulk, what should be a dry bulk vessels are more susceptible to losses because of fatigue failure. So age of vessel is very, very important. If it is say more than 25 years, you should be taking legal actual care for the uh, then there is a adverse feature. When the vessel is not on regular trading pattern and it is over 15 years of age, you have to be very careful. When the vessel is on regular trading pattern but 25 years old, then you have to be very careful. That means liner is 15 years, tramp is 25 years, is the maximum limitation what is prescribed. Although this is not followed strictly in the market. Basically, the transit or voyage, it can start from the factory, what we call X works. Then if it is a container, it will go to container freight station. From container freight station, it will go to port, or it will come to container will come to ICD, that is a inland container depot or inland container port, what they call it. And then it is taken to port as and when vessel arrives loaded on ship, and then it is going to destination. The other thing, if it is a break bulk consignment or any other consignment, then the container will go, the consignment will either stuffed in containers in the factory premises, or it is going, the cargo is going to CFS or port for the purpose of stuffing. So you should know the how it is transported. There could be a barge loading. There are certain consignments like extraction, etc. And if the tidal port like Bhavnagar, Jamnagar, Sikka, the vessels may not come alongside. The barges are loaded, and the barges are taken to the vessel, and then from barge, vessels are loaded. Similarly, iron ore at Goa. Iron ore is coming, either it is loading into transhipper or directly to the exporting vessels. So these are various types of transit. Everything is covered. But then considering the terms of sale, there are different types of policies available. So the loss is more when there is a barge loading and then ship loading at anchorage, because there are additional handling which is involved. It can lead to losses. So it is the insurance involved in transit by rail or road, goods leave consigners warehouse to the port, then transit of container terminal or the port, or ICD, that is container depot. The exposure is more when the barge loading at anchorage is there, because the handling is increased, and transit by carrying vessel to destination port, considering distances from ports and methods of loading and conveyance employed. The route is also very important, because there are certain routes. So, for example, if it is a June, July, August, the Arabian Sea is very rough. The east coast is also very rough during certain periods in the year. So you should recognize North Atlantic winter, China Sea, Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean. What are the conditions during different time of period? So that constitute to the losses, and the underwriters should try to understand these aspects of the transit. The foremost thing the underwriters should see, what is proposed transit. entire or whole, right from warehouse to warehouse. Of course, the Incoterms comes in picture, that whether your responsibility is up to FOB terms or up to final destination. So that is very important point, because longer the voyages, the longer the exposure to marine perils, and the chances of losses are more in the process. Weather conditions is also very significant. Very heavy monsoon, flooding, or sort of the heavy seas, rough sea. This is the peculiarity, and then that is to be considered by underwriter, that what would be weather condition at that particular place. Storage. There are certain, if you go to the index, piracy index of the pilferage in ports, earlier I have seen in ports pilferage was very easy and it was very common feature. Nowadays it has become little difficult, that the chances of pilferage, maybe because of there are CCTV cameras everywhere, and there is a lot of surveillance. The traffic is less because of many satellite port, so the chances of theft and pilferage, there could be cross deliveries, but the chances of theft and pilferage are much less in the port premises. Nevertheless, we should be looking at storage in shades, or it is in open, like steel plates. It will not be kept under shade. It will be in open, project cargo. It will remain in open. So it is, it is susceptible for rainwater damages, etc. Of course, the effectiveness of security of that particular port warehouse is also very important. Delays because of customs, the cargo kept in bonded warehouse. These are all considerations at the time of underwriting. So transit, after discharge to the port, what is corruption index at destination country? This is very important point, because if you go to the transparency index or corruption index, you will get color. The packaging is very important factor at the time of underwriting, because if it is inadequate packaging, then our ICC A, B, C, all these clauses are uh, it is falling in exclusions provided in the policy. Inadequate packaging, stuffing in container if it is not done properly, if it is not done properly, not lashed properly, not supported properly, then the if at all claim is attributable to As I said earlier, that inadequacy of packaging leads to repudiation. If the loss is attributable to inadequate packaging, it will lead to repudiation of the claim. So it is to be ensured that the item will reach destination in good condition, in safe condition. The link between production and consumptions requires so special attention when it comes to packaging. People are cutting corners when it comes to packaging, especially when there is a project cargo, etc. That is a one-time using packaging. But then any insufficient, defective, inadequate, improper, unsuitable packaging, it can turn to loss uh, at large one, and then of course when such loss is there, it will lead to repudiation. Various types of packaging such as crates, carton, fiber, drums, of course, over-dimensional cargo, which is not having any formal packaging. But there you have to see the vehicle is proper. It is a low-bed vehicle. Center of gravity is not up. The SRT, that is a static rollover threshold to be checked. The lashing to be checked. There should be lashing plan. It should be checked. The hardware for lashing to be checked. Its safety factor to be checked. And then the simple adage is you have twice the uh, the braking capacity of weight of that particular equipment. If equipment is say 50 crore, the lashing should have braking strength of say 50 tons. Then the braking strength of lashing should be a 100 tons. That is it's a normal, simple method of looking at it. Otherwise, you have to find out what is going to be a frictional force on the ground, how much will be a sliding, what will be a tilt over, rollover possibilities, and then find out the stress and give the lashing, etc. So unitizing packaging in pallets, container, lift van, jumbo bags, etc. This is also, but then see jumbo bags or unitize or the unitized cargo for, you see, when they are selecting a vessel, containers are there, okay, I understand there is not going to be superimpose or high rise stack in that. But if you are using a wrong vessel, say bulk vessel for the break bulk cargo, the cargo will have the overloading superimposed on the stack, and the chances of damages, collapsing of bottom stack is much more. So these are all very important points from the packaging. Packaging is good, but it is not stacked properly, because package will say that okay, it can go up to 8 stacks, but if you have the 50 stacks, naturally the bottom one is going to get collapsed. So these are things which is very, very important. Indian Institute of Packaging will assist shippers to issue related packaging and testing, etc. Prototype designing, prototype testing. This job can be given to Indian Institute of Packaging. Containerization in India. This is a very important aspect, because majority of cargo, it is transported by containers. It is going as a break bulk consignment. There are containers even for liquid bulk, sort of over-dimensional cargo, and then the dry bulk consignment, the onions, etc. So there are containers for taking care of different type of atoms, commodities, engineering atoms, etc. So how it is placed, that either I am stuffing container in my factory premises and I will send it to CFS for the purpose of, once I get the carting order, it will go to the container fresh station and loaded on ship. There is another these things that okay, I load my container, I stuff my container in my factory premises, send it to ICD, that is inland container depots, and from inland container depot, when the vessel arrives in nearest port, they will get the let cart order, and then this container is shifted directly for purpose of loading. All other custom formalities, etc., will be completed in ICD, and then from ICD directly it will go to vessel for the purpose of loading. Otherwise, there is another method that I send my cargo to the port premises or the CFS premises, and then the stuffing will be carried out in CFS or port premises. And as and when vessel arrives, they give expected time of arrival. The container is stuffed and kept ready for purpose of loading on board. So in every Indian port, there are facilities for loading container, stuffing container, destuffing container, stacking of container. LCL, less than container load, destuffing. All these facilities are there at JNPT. Navasheva is most, it is said that most automated container management system in the world is with JNPT. It is a very busy port when it comes to container. There are around 35 to 40 container fresh stations around JNPT port taking care of export and import of containers. This is very, very important aspect. There are various advantages of containerization. It is a quick and efficient carriage of cargo. The theft and pilferage risks are reduced. It is reduced, it is not eliminated. Because there are skillful pilferage, the container seals are tampered, and there are many cases of skillful pilferage. In one of the investigation what I was doing, in that particular month at JNPT, 136 cases were reported for theft and pilferage. You will find containers empty. You will find different cargo in the container. This is very important, and when you are trying to find out where the problem has taken place, you always try to find out from the port to CFS how much time they have taken. There is a container movement logbook available for that particular container. It is available on internet, on Google, and particular line services, they provide this data. For example, from JNPT port, one container took 3 days to come to CFS, and then that container was empty. Definitely, it was the driver who was involved, because it doesn't take 3 days. It is hardly a matter of say 40 minutes, 50 minutes. There are certain CFS at say 15 kilometers from JNPT. So you can imagine, even after considering, when somebody is taking 3 days, 4 days, or more than time prescribed time for reaching a container freight station, you understand, what could have happened. So it is definitely involvement of driver. For a short journey, there are no cleaners on vehicle. So protection against sea and freshwater damages. Yeah, there could be, these are supposed to be a watertight containers, and water will not penetrate provided the container is in damaged condition, then only water, rainwater or sea water might go inside. Otherwise, condensation damages are very peculiarity of condensation, the cargo in containers. What we call is container rains. It could be cargo rain, it could be container rain. So freshwater damages are protected, but then there are the other condensation damages. The multiple handling is minimized. It is not like a breakable consignment. It is unitized. The entire package is lifted, shifted, placed, destuffed, or directly taken to final destination for the purpose of destuffing. It is nowadays, if you see the present scenario, uh, it is very, very expensive. Containers are not available. Containers are not taken it back. The container owners, they prefer selling their container in the destination country. So economizes the individual packing contents. It is not correct, because uh, although this is what is mentioned in the book, you have to adhere to it, but then try to understand that it has to be, there has to be individual packaging. It is also should be in good condition. It should not shift. So the lashing should be in good condition. The inside dunnaging should be in good condition. Otherwise, container itself will not protect the inner thing because of 6 degree freedom of the vessel. The vessel is the having all the three axis movements like rolling, pitching, yawing, surging, swaying, and heaving. Considering all these things, uh, the packaging, you cannot have the flimsy packaging even if it is going by container. You should have proper, of course, it is mentioned in the book. So you adhere to that when you are writing the examination, because it is from the book, and then practical experience are different. Couple of things where I was as a surveyor for practicing 40 years, couple of things from the books were not acceptable to me. I tried to convey to the institute, but then they said that, you see, whatever it is in the book, you mentioned that only, because otherwise, your experience may be different. But then the what is mentioned in book, that is to be answered. So it is a reduced risk of wrong delivery. Yes, there is no chances of any wrong delivery at all. If the stuffing is wrong, the possibility of wrong delivery. But this is very difficult. Whereas a consignment coming in commingle condition in a dry bulk or bulk consignment, or maybe steel plates, etc., steel coils, or such things, newsprint rails. There is every chance of wrong delivery is possible. That my weight is say 7 tons, I am getting 6.5 ton coil. So such cross, what we call it cross delivery, which is reduced because of containerization. There are many disadvantages of containerization. Of course, containers are never considered as an on-deck cargo. The Marine Insurance Act rule of construction of policy rule number 17 suggests that anything on deck as a cargo without information to insurance company, it is not permitted. The cattle animals are not permitted. But if it is a customary trade and it is a practice of the commercial practice to keep it on deck, then it is permitted. Earlier they were referring to the wool, etc., or some of the consignment going on deck. Like onions, I have seen it is going on deck. But then carrier may decide, then we do not know where my container will be placed. It will be on deck, it will be below deck, it can be anywhere. Considering what is the destination, next calling port, and how much containers I am taking for that particular port. So considering the schedule of the vessel, the person who is deciding the container load plan will decide where this container to be placed. It is not a prerogative of the insured to say that okay, it should be on so and so bay. No, it is not. It is not allowed. The improper ventilation may increase the risk of sweat. You will find 10 containers going by one particular vessel, hundreds of containers going by different vessel, but only out of that, say 5 containers will have condensation. It will not have condensation everywhere because there are many factors: where the container is placed, how many days it is lying on the ground. In sea, the chances of variation in temperature is much less. But then the sweating, if it is an inland journey, it remains for higher period. The variation in temperature is more during inland storage. But then there are various factors. As I said, that if it is inside, if there is no much variation in temperature, the chances of condensation is much less. Condensation damages, it is taken care by desiccant bags, the craft paper lining, the ventilators, they are taping it, etc. But then considering the number of days journey, I have to provide desiccants. Otherwise, you will find that at destination, the desiccant bags are saturated and my cargo is in totally damaged condition. The bulky goods cannot be carried economically in the containers. Yes, consignment like coal, soda ash, fertilizers. There are certain dry bulk major consignments, copper concentrate, etc. You require huge bulk items and you have to bring it by bulk ships only, dry bulk carrier, not by containers, because it is not going to be economical to carry this type of cargo, liquid bulk cargo. There are ULCC, ultra large crude carrier, VLCC, and then bringing say 5 lakhs ton, it is economical if it is coming by vessel. In container, you can imagine that the nowadays also container freight has much more. The problems of container maintenance. Yes, this problem is there because anything, if the container is having any serious problem somewhere, the master of the vessel will not accept. So whenever I'm loading he will not accept, because at the time of unloading, they will in the landing remark certificate they will say container unloaded in damaged condition, and then there could be a liability on the vessel. So the container has to be maintained, the container has to be repaired, container should be without any defects, which is not acceptable as per the guidelines, the classification guidelines, international container lasers guidelines. It is provided for the repairing and maintenance of the container. It is incomplete filling of a container or defective stuffing, that when the factory stuffing is there, the factory people, those who are stuffing, they may not be expert like stevedos. They do not know what is 6 degree of freedom. They will not provide proper dunnaging, cushion dunnage bags, lashing, because they don't know 6 degree freedom of vessel. So this defective stuffing can lead to collapsing of the stack, damaging of the consignment, etc. Damage to the contents remain concealed until arrival of the final destination. But that is okay. That is there in majority of the commodities. When you open the container, you find damages, and till that time it remains concealed. Or there is a theft and pilferage, even the container externally nobody will come to know. Nowadays there is a compulsion that the customs are selecting some of the containers and they are x-raying it to find out the same contents are there. But then this is the problem is there, that damage to contents remain concealed until arrival of the final destination. When we are considering the rating, the each material elements of the risk to be involved. For example, it is a dry bulk cargo, it is a liquid bulk cargo, it is a over-dimensional cargo. The method of assessment, method of measurement of the weight, the break bulk consignment, all these things, this is having a different pattern of risk should be known. The minimum thing, you start the rating with minimum risk like ICCC, and then you add with the B, and then of course it comes the all risk rating are there. So in in ICCA rating, you will find that there is a personal influence. So there would be many warranties incorporated. Say for example, if it is a dry bulk, there has to be a draft survey at load unloading port, or certain types of warranties which is incorporated of an underwriter. This is definitely a personal understanding of the underwriter about that commodity, and he's trying to understand the risk which is unavoidable, and see unavoidable and avoidable risk. So he's trying to minimize avoidable risk. He's trying to put a lot of the responsibilities on the exporter, that you should do this, you should not do this, you take care. That is only to ensure that the losses are minimized. And then of course, considering the risk pattern, the amount of premium is calculated, and excess is also considered. What are the underwriting considerations? You are maintaining, actually it is expected that you know the statistics, regular statistics client wise. That means you are aware of the what you call that percentage of losses, considering the premium earning for claim ratio, what we call it for that. The renewal of open covers and open policies should be based on what is the past experience. So, for example, somebody is giving 100 rupees premium and the losses are 150 rupees. There is definitely something wrong with the risk analysis, the excess provided in the policy, and the risk pattern. So, you should correct at the time of renewal. You should understand that the risk is more, the premium is less. Maybe appointment of surveyors are not correct. So commitments, sum insured for specific voyage transit should not exceed the underwriting limits. Commitments, sum insured, specific voyages, etc. You have to be very careful. Refer to marine cargo technical department and get it approved and then acceptable to the. There are certain risks you feel that, yeah, you require, it is very difficult for you to understand. It may be higher in amount. It may be requiring a special warranties for the uh, inspection, survey, etc. You can always take the higher department's help in that, to understand the risk and to take to minimize, provide certain do's and don't do's, warranties and conditions to minimize that. The rates for war and strike risk, the extra should be quoted separately. This is because if you see in our main ICCA risk, certain things are excluded which is related to the war perils, but they are added separately, and there is a separate methods of looking at war and SRCC perils. So that is to be checked. The rates are to be checked properly. The moral hazards and moral hazards factor. The every client is not same. The philosophy of every client is not same. There are many I have seen when I was looking for the books of accounts. In a ledger, it was mentioned that profit from insurance. Just can you imagine a ledger indicating profit from insurance? So somebody is trying to make profit from insurance. So the moral hazard, the moral factor, this is very very important, because there are certain companies, they have the padta system. कितने में पड़ता है ये? How much, if I pay 1 rupee premium, how much return I get out of that? So if the claim ratios are more than 100%, It is always not correct. It is not always good. Basically, Incoterms, or which is known as International Commerce Terms, sales terms, the interpretation of obligation is as per International Chamber of Commerce, popularly known as ICC, France, who had drafted the terms. There are basically 13 Incoterms said in 2000, while they are modified to 11 terms effective from 1st January 2011. It is a standard form. It is a buyer's obligation, seller's obligation, who should take insurance, when the titles of goods are changed. All these things are drafted very meticulously in this Incoterms, and any exporter, importer, or even person taking care of marine insurance should understand, because it is a dynamic risk. The underwriters should they should know that where is my policy is starting and what is the termination point of my policy. It is a standard form of contracts written only in 3 letters, and obligation of buyer and seller along with price formation is decided by the term selected. Say for example, FOB, CIF, FAS, free alongside. There are different terms used, and it is having a definite meaning, legal meaning, which is provided in the Incoterms. This is very important. International Chamber of Commerce, they have provided the terms of sale. There are different terms of sale which is indicating what is the seller's responsibility, what is the buyer's responsibility, and then there are into two groups. The X works. That means my invoice is based on X works. It is the buyer who will pick up cargo from my factory. So I am not to worry for the seller is not bothered for local transportation, insurance, etc. So X works, you will find that if it is a totally seller's market, and then there is no competition. As a seller, I will say, you come to my factory, take cargo, pay money in advance, take cargo and go. So this is the basic X works contract. Then there is a free carrier alongside. So it is, something little less than the it is a free carrier. Free carrier means I am loading a vehicle, that is my responsibility. Carriage paid to. So again, this is the carriage to destination I have paid. This first group, you can see first group, they are for they may be applied for any mode of transportation, but 99% you will find uh, partly for the inland transit like CPT, CIP, carriage and insurance paid too. As the word implies, it is the sort of CIF. Carriage is also there and insurance is also paid. Delivered at terminal. This is 99% for the say for example, I am delivering it to terminal. After that, it is not my responsibility. I am delivering it to the place. For example, if it is going export by land, then I will say it is a Bangladesh border. So I will name the place, and then subsequently it is the buyer who will pick up from that place and take it to his own. So this is also helping how to give you see, it is like this. If the DAP, the delivery is at place, can I give the warehouse to warehouse cover? It depends, again, transparency index, etc. You have to see DDP. So in DDP, say for example, I have the setup in even in say in Indian market that I can purchase it, pay duty, and then the deliveries are to the factory premises. So basically, the person who is having offices at both the places, at exporting place and importing place, and if he can import on his own thing, he is selling it to someone, but then he is already paying delivery. The bill of entry, there could be two things: that bill of entry is prepared on his name, the duty is paid by somebody, but then 99%. For example, Reliance is having office in Singapore, Reliance is having office in Mumbai, and then some cargo they are selling it directly to somebody at Ahmedabad. It will be said that we will give it to you in your premises. and duly duty paid. So my invoice will be based on duly duty paid, insurance, everything is automatically involved in that. But I always feel that you should be reading it. You should purchase the book on Incoterms and get acquainted with each terms in respect to the responsibility of buyer and seller. FAS, free alongside ship. It is something, lesser than free on board. Free on board means I am placing the cargo inside the vessel. Free alongside ship means I just give it to the loading is not my responsibility. If barges are loaded, barges are sinking, then it is not my responsibility. Whereas in FOB, when barge is loaded, barge while going to anchorage, if it's lost to sea, yes, it is the sailor's policy will take care of it. So FAS is something less than FOB. Cost and freight. Cost and freight, uh, the the maybe inland freight or ocean freight is included in that, and then the cost, uh, insurance and freight. So 99% when it is a exporter who is taking warehouse to warehouse policy, you will find the terms of sale is CIF. These are various terms of sale are explained in details. I do not say it is in details, but then what is X works, what is free carrier alongside, what is carriage paid to, carriage and insurance paid to, delivered at terminal. So it is explained, but still, if you actually go for the books of Incoterm, it is each term is having explanation in A group and B group, and what is the responsibility of buyer and what is the responsibility of seller. Everything has been defined properly. I am not going to read out everything for explanation. This is very easy to understand, but then try to understand why this is important, because this is the terms of sale is trying to tell you where titles of the goods are changed, because it is a dynamic risk. Then as per Incoterms, the titles will be changed, the amount will be paid. So my everybody's responsibility, taking insurance up to what point of insurance, everything will be explained in this Incoterms. You understand that? Of course, say for example, what I'm trying to say, that the terms of sale is FOB. It is the exporter who is taking free on board. Free on board is defined that till earlier it was crossing the rail, now it is placing it on board. But then does the exporter's policy will not exporter, the importer, this is the export FOB, importer's policy will not attach after loading. It will attach as per rule of construction of policy, rule number 2, when ship moves out. So there is a gap, there is a gray area, and then the underwriter should know, the broker should know that there is a gap. In one of the case, there was a after loading, there was another container fell down on that. There was a huge loss. The German underwriter said that our risk is not attached because vessel has not moved out. And then under seller's contingency policy, this particular claim was paid. So you should understand the intricacy, the legality, the when the titles of goods are changed for these various terms used. These are another set of Incoterms. Delivered at place. It has been explained. There is nothing to say on that. Delivered, duty paid, duty unpaid, rules for sea and inland waterways transport. It is a free alongside ship, free on board, cost and freight, cost, insurance and freight. All these things are explained. You read it, but then this is again not covering 100%. As I said that every, say for example, CIF, it will be in two sections. It will be indicating what is the responsibility of seller. It is also indicating in multiple sections what is the responsibility of buyer, when and how insurance to be taken, etc. So you should understand, read, get acquainted as a marine underwriter with all different types of Incoterms provided in the market. What are expectations? What is required in marine cargo declaration form? You will have the address of proposer and his business. Basically, you try to understand what is his business. And the description of goods. What is its packaging? Whether it is a dry bulk cargo, or it is a break bulk cargo, or it is a liquid bulk cargo, or it is a over dimensional cargo, or the cargo is containerized, and what is the primary and secondary packaging of this particular consignment or atom. Is it on CIF plus 10% basis? Is it export consignment or import consignment? And then what is the terms of sale? Is it FOB, C&F, FAS? All these things are, it's given details in this. The name of carrying vessel or mode of other conveyance. So which vessel you are going to carry? The voyage and transit transshipments are expected, if any. Bill of lading quantity, airway bill, LR, railway receipt details. The type of insurance cover required, whether it is a basic cover, B cover, all risk cover, and the signature. These are the ingredients of, you see, basically sometimes in an open policy or sales turnover policy, you might have the requirement for classification society member of ICS. And if it is not done like that, and there was a case of rack carrier vessel, it was the consignee, he had just put up a mail indicating the vessel is not a class. The insurance company has not taken any cognizance and there was a loss, total loss of Bombay. When they have put up a claim, the insurance company repudiated, and the consumer court has given judgment in favor of insurance company, indicating that already open policy has made very clear that it should have classification society, so they were expecting it should be in good condition. And then it is not ICA just sending a mail, it is not sufficient. You should be taking their permission. And if they are permitting, then things are different. Okay. The marine cover note. This is a temporary document. It is evidencing that insurance has been granted pending the issue of policy. The advice is not legally valid document in lawsuit until contract is expressed in the policy. It is the basis of contract and court can order to ratify the policy. If it is not stamped, the policy number and validity of cover must be reflected in the policy. The details are taken from proposal form or declaration or open policy, or maybe if it is a self-turner policy and somebody is trying to ask for a cover note. I have seen a cover note recently. It is claimed that it is under turnover policy. The basis of insurance given is CI plus 10%, and the cover note is on FOB plus 10%. I do not know exactly because the report is not finalized. The insurance company has not given the verdict. But such mistakes should not be there. At the time of underwriting, you should take care of all these things. In general, you will find standard form of marine policy. You have the name of insurer, the clauses attached, the performance of contract, the conditions, the warranties. You will find everything embedded in the policy. It is a stamped document as per 1899, as per Indian Stamped Act. As per Section 24 of Marine Insurance Act 1963, to get admitted as evidence, it must be embodied in the marine policy. This policy can be assigned, there are no issues, on a blank endorsement for and on behalf of, followed by name and signature of the assured. Schedule should be based on proposal form. The main text and then there's a schedule. The name of surveyor or a survey settling agency is also incorporated. That means, for example, if the loss is at overseas, then they will say Lloyd's agent should be doing survey, or the address of Weftus will be provided in the policy format. So these are the standard form of marine policy. There are many times you can say error in the policy. Maybe with regards to the valuation, with regards to the validity of cover, with regards to commencement of journey. It could be anything with regards to clauses attached, not attached, conditions attached, not attached. So there could be various type of errors in the policy. It can be rectified, it can be, the risk can be added, it can be deleted. by way of endorsements to the policy. It is a memorandum attached to the policy, document which records alterations in the contract. The alterations can be attached only before and the transit and before insurance ceases under the policy. There cannot be endorsement. So, for example, something is not incorporated in the policy, or say, for example, the contamination is only because of ICCB. If this is the condition incorporated in the policy, and if there is a contamination which is not attributed to the, you can say, ICCB perils, you cannot add subsequently indicating whatsoever reason contamination is covered under the policy. So such things are not permitted. After the loss, which is directly related to the loss, such type of endorsements are not permitted legally. This is the age of electronic data transfer. So everything is available online. The proposal form is available online. The policy, once it is issued, soft copy can be immediately sent. The insurers can communicate decision after scrutiny. The storage of records and details of proposal is very, very easy. Client can be assessed from data bank or industry data bank. The premium can be paid online. Everything is available. Uh, I was asking many underwriters a question that earlier the 60 days were given in policy after unloading, because the documents were coming late. Either it is coming by sea or it is coming by air. It is taking time. The clearance was taking time. Nothing is immediately available. Taking delivery order, clearance of customs, everything was time consuming, and that is the reason. If it is coming by sea, you are providing 60 days the validity of cover, and if it is coming by air, it is 30 days you are giving, but for inland journey, it is only 7 days. Now, with this quick data transfer, this digital data transfer, what is the proprietary of keeping 60 days or 30 days valid cover in port or airport premises? As on date, none of the underwriters is in position to tell me why such facility is still extended. It is there in the policy, so you have to honor it. Thank you very much. This is the end of marine underwriting chapter. Of course, we have not discussed much about the tariff, how the premium is calculated, when the excess is more, how the premium can be reduced. All these things are not discussed. Basically, we are going as per the chapters of marine insurance examination book IC 67, and chapter 3 is over. Thank you very much.